Everybody close your eyes.
Close your eyes. We won't say anything.
So while Wilson's doing logging in,
Yeah.
how about let's say if we designate a rep, how many people can we put it there and what is it for?
Yeah.
Designated rep.
Okay. So as a designated rep,
Sorry.
yeah.
Listing agent.
As
I'm
a
signing
listing, you can put as many agents as you would like on the designated rep. If it doesn't fit on that line, you can put a Schedule A. So the Form 203. Put designated rep, put a column. You can put, let's say, hey, Andy's going on vacation and wants to put Salwa, as a designated rep. You can quickly go and amend it and just get an initial, right? You can cross it off, have the seller initial, and be like, hey, Neil, I'm going to be on vacation. Salwa's going to help you now, and by the time I'm away. And then you can do that as well. You can always switch designated rep in the middle of representation too. So,
So if Andy's a listing agent, if he's going to get other agents to do the open house, does he need to specify those with designated
yes.
reps too?
Yeah, he would want to specify that. Or he can put it in as a tool in the 203 in the listing agreement. They can put in that, they can put in a limited service. So you can put in a wording that, Salwa will be providing open house services for these weekends, and you can specify that. So it doesn't actually become, you will still be part of a designated rep. So if it's a multiple offer, if you bring in an offer, it will still become a multiple rep because you're considered a designated rep. But it sets the seller's expectations, not to, hey, keep calling you and be like, oh, I want you to do this and this and this, right? So, yeah.
So what is the form for that, to list all the things you would do for listing?
A 203, the Schedule A to the listing agreement. Okay. Yeah. 203 or 205, sorry. Yeah. So.
While we're waiting, can I ask you a question about the info guy?
Yeah.
So my previous two deals, the office accepts the email that they confirm.
Yeah.
They confirm they have read it, and I have to explain to them.
Yes.
The last submission I had, they refused it, they want a signature, why?
Well, actually, they shouldn't. The new TRESA and RICO does not mandate us to get a signature or anything like that. Yeah. So in that situation,
I need to talk to Simone.
Yeah, let Simone just say I spoke to Dickson. Because again, we're still training the transaction staff as well because it's new for everybody, right? It's new for me, it's new for all the agents. Some of them are getting.
Question. On the MLS form, PIN is not a mandatory field.
It is, right?
It's not.
Actually,
Keep telling. Sorry.
yeah, actually, as of July 1st, 2023, it became a mandatory field.
But
So
sometimes there's no pin, then they're okay with it.
yeah, then you have to put it on. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You got
said it is?
as of July 1st. So that's why if you use a pre-July form, it's very easy to get. Like sometimes you just find your old data form and just input it. But it should be, if you have it, then you should try and put it on, because again,
The roll number too,
yeah, ARN.
You require that right now?
What TREB now requires it, and TREB requires minimum one dimension of the room.
Yep.
Oh, yes, that.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I've been having a discussion.
What's the point of that? Like one dimension?
You know what it is? I actually was speaking with one of the professors. Actually, if people don't already know, I actually just got elected to be panel for arbitration professional standards. Thank you for the Toronto Real Estate Board. So I'll be sitting in arbitrations and professional standards hearings.
You're there for now.
Yeah, it's more of a volunteer position, but I'll be sitting in a lot of those. So that's why I think like that's what I've been trying to do in order to try and make sure that, hey, we're doing everything as we're trying to do as accurate as possible, right? So the main thing right now, how I see it is that, yeah, that's why we should be doing it. I'm gonna just tell you that why, and I asked, like, Ashley St. John, she's one of the professional, like, why do we need that one form? You know, TREB want to do that, so we actually go in and measure. So it actually shows that, hey, we've shown, again, the people who are putting these together are not actually agents. They have their park licenses, or some of them are just admins. But I do understand, like, from their point of view, they want to show that, hey, the agent actually went into the unit and, like, measured at least one room. You know, so it shows that, hey, you know, we're taking accountability upon
But
ourselves.
the measurement I write on the form doesn't have to be what I write on the listing, right? It doesn't have to match.
It should.
Oh, okay. Because right now I'm just putting 3 by 3. Yeah, 3 by 3.
It should, but none of our staff is gonna go and, like, you know, like, I'll put it this way: what we try and do, and I just want to make everybody's like easier, is that for me, if like when I go in and a TS brings up to me, the main thing that should be accurate should be the things that are both on the listing agreement and on the MLS data form. So commission, your commencement date, your expiry date, the names, right? The selling price, you know, all those things should be kind of, because things could change, like on the data form. So I'd rather you go in and make it accurate than to go in and wait for an initial before. So if you find out that, hey, this is a exclusive parking, not a owned parking, I want you to immediately just go and change it, and then maybe go later and then get the initial to change it. Right? Because I don't want anybody to go in and be like, hey, like, you misrepresented the property. So that's the main thing. Okay, so I rather, you know, you go and make those, but the price and all those and commission, we actually, like, we would like you to get the initials first before you go and change it, because those are vital. Like yeah, the seller will come and dispute and say that, hey, you know, we listed at, you know, 1.299, why is it saying 1.35? So that's the one thing that I would just kind of throw out there. I know it's irrelevant, but I guess we can, like, jump into the confirmation of cooperation, right? So with something like this, I think it's, oh, I don't know how to use it.
You can use the arrows on this.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. So with this one, with the new confirmation of cooperation, from a 2-page, it become a 3-page. So everybody kind of already noticed that. So if you see right here in the listing brokerage, this actually becomes very similar. Nothing really changed, right? The listing brokerage represents the interest of a seller, as understood that agreed that. These wording never really changed, except for the number 2. The listing brokerage is providing assistance to the buyer, and the buyer is a self-represented party. So that has been changed, okay? Should we zoom up a little bit? Maybe I should. Okay, perfect, and then I can. Okay, so people can see. And the main thing right now that you notice is that multiple representation has been extended. So not only did it extend up here, but it extended the second page and it'll co-op as well. So that's the main thing. So in the situation that you enter into a multiple representation, you have them initial, if this is a brokerage representation, so if there's no designated representation, then you check off this, okay? So, but we're designated representation brokerage. So technically we don't need to get into this. But what we do need to get to, if we do enter into multiple representation, let's say you have 5 designated agents on your listing, and then one of those designated agents or multiple of those designated agents are also representing the buyer, then you would want to check in here, the multiple representation and designated representation. D. So where the seller and the buyer represents the designated representative of the brokerage, multiple representation will not result unless that the designated representative represents more than one client in the same trade. So this also happens if you are representing 2 buyers for the same property, okay? So this is what happens.
So you have to disclose.
Actually, you have to disclose using the form 326. So there's a new form, 325 and 326. is the multiple representation acknowledgement.
Can I pick one buyer only? Let's say I have two buyers. I'm
Yeah.
serious.
Plan to add.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick one because the highest price.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
You
you
know
can.
it's close.
Yeah. Well, it's not that you can pick, but because you have a BRA signed with both of them, right, as a designated rep.
I understand. But
Yeah.
right now, I'm only presenting one offer. I mean, I'm not gonna present two offers. It's one to one property.
Then no, you still have to disclose.
Because you have the VRA sign.
Yeah, because
They can always come back and say.
yeah, but because you have to
Come back.
the other buyer.
The losing buyer.
The buyers. Yeah, the losing buyer.
Oh.
Yeah,
But
because
he
you
was representing you. Why is it-
yeah
You
because
have better there's a better offer,
Yeah.
better offer right now.
I know, but you have to represent the buyer's best interest, both of the buyer's best interests at the same time.
Pick one.
Yeah,
Pick one.
exactly.
That
On
conflict.
paper, this
Yeah.
is on paper.
Yeah, it is on paper.
On paper,
Yes.
this is on paper.
Yeah, this is on paper.
It's all on paper. Nothing. You don't-
Yeah, exactly. Like again, we understand, but we have to understand that we also have to represent the best interests of the buyers. Yes, and protect yourself with the Form 3. Yeah,
Great problem to have.
you can always.
I won't.
Yeah,
Trust me, I won't.
I understand.
You don't catch it like the loose buyer, catch out that your name is on the sales of that unit.
Yes.
Mhm.
Your,
Yes. Then you'll be in trouble
so,
without multiple representation
So,
signed.
Yeah, initialed, right? So you might go into this one, right? The designate. So these ones are pretty straightforward. If you read into it, it's actually really it's really straightforward. A lot of times, if you get into designated representation, you do D and 1. So the listing brokerage designated represents more than one client in the same trade, resulting in multiple representation. Okay, and they also say it's a duty of disclosure. Okay, that disclosure is essentially the Form 325 and 326. Okay, and it's a separate form. It's actually a new form that we actually have to sign now. Okay, which when you pull it up, we can pull it up a bit later too. Because there's 4 bubbles and people are getting confused. Oh, which bubble do I have to initial? So you're gonna have. I'll point out which bubble you're gonna have to initial. Okay. The seller and the buyer are represented different designated representative of the same brokerage. There's no multiple representation. So sometimes there's designated representation, and then the seller, client, and buyer represented different designated representation. There's no multiple representation. So just keep in mind, sometimes you get into this if, let's say, like I said, the same situation, like, oh, Sunny represents the buyer or the seller, and Nelly represents the buyer. Okay, this is what happens. Okay, the designated representative providing representation to the seller, and the client and the brokerage providing service to the seller as a client. So this is what happens is that the designated, it's pretty straightforward.
So it'd be a 2-3 if I'm putting an offer for Sunny's listing.
Yes,
2-3,
yes.
okay.
Yep. Okay. So it's pretty straightforward there. And then sometimes additional comments, sometimes just say, hey, the commission, what you agreed upon or whatnot. Okay.
You can select 2, or it has to be 1, right?
Well, you select this one first.
Yeah.
Okay. And if the seller the seller client and the buyer client are different designated represent, then there is no. So this is actually in that situation.
2-3.
2.
No,
Nelly
to
and Sunny.
the designated representative providing representation to the seller client, and the brokerage is providing services to the seller client. So this is what happened. This is the more confusing situation, and this is actually going to be discontinued soon because actually, because what happens is that during that transition period, there's some listings that have been still listed prior to December 1st. So that's a brokerage representation. Okay, so the designator is providing representation to the seller client, and the brokerage is providing services to seller client. So that's like what happens when, let's say, there's a brokerage representation designated, and then there's and then there's kind of it's in between situation. There's a designated that introduced. So I don't think the number at all.
So
All right.
just 1 and 2 later on.
Mainly just 1 and 2.
So what do I pick if I give Sunny an offer?
D2.
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 And there's no multiple representation there. So you
Okay.
don't have the 325 and you don't have the 326.
You don't have to initial that the multiple representation.
Yeah, you don't have to initial that.
So
What is it? Yeah, then why do we have to check mark that if it's not multiple representation?
Well, the clear thing right now for the confirmation of cooperation is that why it needs to be prepared before is because it needs to be released to everybody, like all the parties, the buyer agent, seller agent, and all the clients. Yeah, so they need to know who's representing who and how it is being represented. Okay, so they just need to understand these parts
So when we sign the multiple representation,
when it's one.
that means that
Yeah.
that both sides are designated rep for buyer and listing.
Yep, there's a designated representation. Yeah, so in EXP, because we are designated rep, then yeah, we'll mainly be using this.
Only if you are at designated rep
Yes, only.
as a listing agent,
Yep.
and then you also represent designated rep as a buyer for buyers.
Yes.
That
Yes.
you have to do D1.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if it's same brokerage, we wouldn't be using D2, but we don't have initial multiple representation.
Yeah. So I'll put it this way. Okay. So if let's say Nelly both are designated representation for the listing agent as a listing agent, and you're designated rep for the buyer. So if Nelly is both, then yeah, double ending. Then you are then D1.
D1.
If it's a situation where like Sunny and Nelly, then it's D2. But that means there's no multiple representation.
So you don't have to sign those forms.
Yeah, you don't have to sign
D1,
those.
you gotta sign those.
Yes, D1 you have to get those disclosures.
This is easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I got it.
Sign on the form, but you don't have to do the disclosure.
This
Yeah.
is just 325.
325 and 326. 325 is for the seller, so you have to disclose to the seller. And then 326 is the buyer agent having to,
Both forms you have to
yes,
sign.
I
each
haven't even seen that.
So
independently. It's new.
So for multiple representation, you have to sign both forms, disclosing to buyer and seller.
Yep. They don't all sign on one form. They two separate forms. Yeah.
Buyer signs one, seller signs one.
Yep.
Same form, one for the buyer, one.
Yep. It's an acknowledgement. Okay. It's just a disclosure acknowledgement. Just like
What's C then?
we're C. So multiple listing brokerage. We'll again very rarely use this again. Where are both buyer and seller are receiving limited service representation. So a lot of times right now when sometimes we're dealing with mere postings. Okay? So mere postings, if you are going into a mere posting listing, a mere posting listing still exists. Okay? It's just that they set out that all I'm going to do is put it out as on MLS and this and that. And the listing brokerage have to do so listing brokerage represent both the buyer and seller, where both buyer and seller are receiving limited service representation. So that's if both you have a limited service representation. I believe that's the form 311 or I can't think off the top of my head, but it's limited service buyer's representation agreement and limited service seller representation agreement. So it's very rare that we'll be using this, but they include it there just so it covers all the bases. Okay. So it's only if our brokerage is a mere posting, yeah. Okay, so it's very rarely that we're going to use that. So now this one. This is very similar, property sold by buyer brokerage, okay? And the multiple representation, again, is repeated, okay? Because you have to clearly disclose to your buyers that, hey, your buyer can enter into a multiple representation situation as well. So this one is very similar. The brokerage represents the buyers and will be paid by. So if you're a normal deal, then this is the same, okay? By the seller, so you represent the buyer and the brokerage will be paid by the buyer directly or by the seller in accordance with the seller limited representation agreement. But this property sold by buyer brokerage is, again, sorry, it's not the same as, it's the same as if it was like a for sale by owner or if it's a for sale by owner usually, okay? So that the brokerage represents a buyer and will be paid by buyer. And so when we only really use this, again, if it's like a for sale by owner and you are getting compensated, you're getting compensated by the seller, or when you represent, let's say when you represent a seller, or sorry, represent a buyer, okay? And you enter into a for sale by owner, okay? You enter into a for sale by owner, and then in a for sale by owner, usually you either get the commission from the deposit through the BRA, okay? Whatever's stipulated on a BRA. Number two is by the seller according to the seller. So you might decide the seller, instead of a for sale by owner, they want to enter into a limited service. So they want to enter into, so again, I'm not going to use the word customer, but back in the day, there was the Form 201, which is a seller, it was just seller customer service agreement. So you want to you want to go and get the seller limited service representation agreement. I believe they replaced it. I don't remember all the form numbers. I'm still trying to repeat it, but you can enter into a limited. So just say, I will get a commission off of this for representing the buyer, and the seller actually will become still a client, but you are limiting them. That they're just saying, I'm here to bring the buyer for this.
So that replaces, you don't do a listing agreement, you do the seller limited.
Limited service agreement. Yep. So the same thing as for sale by owner. So that's how I like to see it. Okay. And all these types of multiple representation can still exist, because when you represent the buyer and then you represent the seller as a limited service, you inadvertently enter into multiple representation. Okay? Because there's no such thing as customer anymore. So it's either you're a full-blown client providing limited service or a self-represented party. There's no such thing as, there's no in-between anymore. So that's why if you are representing the buyer for SRP, a seller that wants to be an SRP, and they don't want to enter into a seller limited service agreement, then you can only get commission from the buyer. You cannot get it from the seller. Just keep in mind, if you are an SRP, there's no way that they have a responsibility to pay any commissions unless you enter into a seller limited service agreement, or you're like, I'm just going to represent you entirely. Okay?
So what is the limited seller rep for?
So it's only if you want to go it, if the seller is like, I like you only provide certain, only provide.
Seller listing agreement.
Yeah, it's almost like a seller customer service listing.
We don't want to use that word customer.
Yeah, we don't want to use customer. But they enter onto a client.
They pay
The commission.
the co-op.
Yeah, because you do a lot of FISBOs, right?
Yeah.
So you might have a buyer to bring to the FISBO,
Yes.
but the FISBO's like, yo, I don't want to be represented.
Yes.
Then you get them to sign that form, like, yeah, I'll still pay you commission for the buyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they gonna pay me?
Or else the buyer pays you directly.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I think over time, the thing is, the seller limited service agreement, so a lot of times when you enter into a BRA or a listing agreement, we're not used to kind of providing a schedule to like show that, hey, we're going to provide these services. So we should actually start getting used to putting into pen and paper into the schedules that, hey, when you enter into BRA, we should actually be putting out on our BRA what type of services we're going to be providing to them. So I think it's something that we should be starting to do, and that's what some of the meetings we have with RICO is saying.
What would you put in there? Like, I will look for this, things, I will knock on doors, I will,
Yeah.
whatever activities you're going to do,
Yep.
basically.
Yep. Whatever
Same
activity.
With the listing?
Same with the listing agreement
So
as
I'm
well.
gonna stage your house, I'm gonna do photos, professional photos, everything.
Where do you state that?
Oh, in the schedules. 203 for the listing agreement, and I believe 305 for the BRA.
Oh, yeah, put your password in. I was trying to type upside down. Stupid.
So, like, we should be starting to do that, okay, especially with BRAs. Again, we don't have anything because we're not going to set out, hey, you as a buyer agent has to do these things, right? So it should be common practice that slowly, as time moves forward, you should start getting Schedule A for BRAs and listing agreements as well, okay?
Schedule A.
Yeah, yeah, for both.
BRA and listing agreement.
Yeah.
Attached at the bottom.
Yeah, because RICO does mandate that, we should specify on an addition, on its actual RICO bulletin, the services that we would, on a separate documented schedule on the representation agreement, because it doesn't cover it on the BRA. So, but moving back to this mainly applies to for sale by owners, and the same thing applies, okay? As I covered with the multiple representation. So a lot of times, again, we won't be using this much, but again, this situation is if, as I put it, we're receiving limited service representation. Okay, so again, this is a limited service. So you might want to be looking into this one but most of the time you're going to want to designate it. So if you enter into if it's a for sale by owner, and then you enter into a buyer seller designation, so it's D1 again. Okay, but if you enter into a seller limited service agreement. Okay, so again, I'll just summarize this. If you enter into a seller limited service agreement, the property sold by buyer brokerage is usually this one. Okay, and now this is pretty much the same as before. Okay, this hasn't changed much. Again, it just changes. It's just removal of the customer and addition of the self-represented party. So the corporation brokerage represents the interest of the buyer in this transaction, and then if there is a for sale by owner or something like that, then again the seller limited service agreement providing assistance to the buyer and as a self-represented party in the transaction. So you want to check that off in like a FSBO situation when you're in a mere posting. Let me just put it this way. So we won't really be using this one for a mere. This one would be like a mere posting. Okay, this one didn't change at all. Okay, this one didn't change at all. So that's how we would want to tackle it. We would fill out number 1 as the listing brokerage as the same, and then number 3 as how it would be the same as it was before. Number 2, again, it's only if it's like a mere posting or a limited service, yeah, or for sale by owner. Okay. So now become 3 pages, and then consent for multiple representation is same as before. Okay, so I know that this is a little bit more confusing, but
Except for here, we only use 3B, right? 3B?
yep, 3B.
Not 3A. 3A is more for sale by owner.
The cooperating brokerage represent. So you want to do the same as before. So you check A1, and then B, and then B1.
Yeah, both, yeah.
Yeah.
In a normal transaction.
Yeah, no.
Because the
So
buyer.
A1,
brokerage,
B1.
Oh, okay,
cooperating
so you have
brokerage.
to cheat. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really what it is. And then the notes are for, as always, if there's multiple reps, some people have a reduction commission, or you would want to put in the notes to be transparent, so it's disclosed that there's a reduction or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I know it becomes more confusing, but in every single scenario, I think the main thing is the property sold by buyer brokerage. That one is before it just usually was the property sold by buyer brokerage and either by seller customer service agreement or by the buyer directly. But now property sold by buyer brokerage, you can also be in a situation where it becomes multiple representation, because with a seller limited service agreement, you are now a client. The seller becomes a client. So that's why this could happen. So that's how you would want to fill it. So mainly, I know I'm going back and forth a lot, but mainly, most of the time, it's very simple. If you're a normal deal, A1, okay? A1,
The 3.
yeah, and then 3, yeah,
3A1
Three,
yeah.
the D2, right?
and B1.
Yeah. So A1, B1, B2, okay? Yeah, unless there's multiple representation. Yeah, unless there's multiple representation. So yeah, unless there's I don't think there's D. Where's the? Oh yeah, unless there's unless. Yeah, I know that's really, but you can mainly ignore the extra section in number 2. That's not relevant anymore. Well, not relevant, but it won't be in a situation where it's that common.
Not much.
Yeah. Yeah,
80%
exactly.
of the time it's going to be just the normal.
Yeah, 80.
Maybe 90%.
Yeah. So it's much more clear. There's no such thing as customer anymore. It's either you're an SRP or you are a client. There's no in between.
Can we go back and talk about if we, as a listing agent, SRP call? What do we have to do?
So if the listing brokerage,
A buyer
yeah,
call?
oops, A and then 2.
No, I'm
Oh.
saying in terms of if the buyer calls that they're a self.
SRP?
Self-represent,
Mm-hmm.
do we have to show properties to them?
Oh, then I answered.
No.
So we don't have to. Yeah.
We don't have to.
Yeah, we don't have to.
So how can we
Put it in the
But we still have to give them the
information
RICO guide. And
Yeah, RICO guide and everything. If you decide to show the property,
Then you do that.
Yeah, then you have to then you have to give them the RICO guide. And then if they're like, oh, then they decide during the RICO guide, oh, I actually want to be represented, you sign a BRA. If they don't want to be
Then the
represented,
SRP.
then the SRP.
So if I don't show the property, I don't have to show the RICO guide either.
Yeah, no.
If I don't do anything, I'm like, hey, screw off on it. I won't do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Well, they said they don't have a buyer.
They don't,
They don't have an
They don't-
have an agent, sorry, my bad. They don't have an agent, so.
okay. Yeah, oh, if they don't have an agent, be like, okay, I want to go in.
Not represented.
Yeah, like, do you want to be represented? I think you have to start getting that. So, and then before we represent, I have to send you this RICO guide. Like, that's a new script that we're going to have to, like,
So
What if they say, no, I don't want, I want to be self-represented?
Yes, I should.
Oh.
So I want to see the property.
then be like, okay, then, like, it's just going to be a new script that you want to put together and be like, well, actually, like, it's either you find an agent who will represent you, view the property, or, unfortunately, my client wants to only, work with agents that are represented. They have a choice to do that, things
Can
like
they
that.
complain to the RICO saying, well, this guy's not representing his seller to his best interest because I want to buy the property, but he's not letting me
Well,
see it?
yeah, and that was the situation we had previously, right? It was just like, oh,
So-
you
yeah.
just say, this is
But
like,
that was before TRESA, right?
yeah.
But now after TRESA, does that change anything after TRESA?
No. Well, you still want to be representing, again, unless they have proof to say that they're not representing to their best ability, you don't have to, you can be like, oh, I didn't feel safe, going at the time that they stated. I didn't feel like, they didn't want to pre-qualify. I sent them the RICO guide, things like that, and they want to be a SRP. So, yeah, that's the case. But you can always get somebody else to show the property. Again, we still, I think the best idea is to have them show a property, like to show the property or get another agent to show the property who's willing to do it. But again, we should understand that technically we should show the property, but they can't complain to RICO if you say no.
If you didn't.
There's no grounds.
Can we ask them to qualify themselves first?
Yeah, we can always ask them.
Let's say if the buyer potential
Yeah,
is self-represented, then ask them the mortgage approval
yeah.
and also the IDs kind of thing before
Yeah.
you show it.
Yeah, you can do that, especially for like higher value like properties. I know with like, I know,
$5 million.
yeah, exactly. A lot of like back in the day, like when I had agents who did like 5 million, they would always pre-qualify the buyers before showing them. Exactly, they want to see the bank statements and show that.
We can do it, right?
Yeah, we can.
For 500,000 condo, can we do that?
Even two.
I mean, if the seller requests, right? The seller can always refuse. Yeah, the seller can always
Just
just.
one thing the qualified buyers.
Yeah, yeah.
We can charge $100 per hour.
Correct.
Huh?
We can charge $100 per hour.
Yeah.
Oh well, we can't get any commission from SRPs, unfortunately.
Got a commission.
Yeah.
So usually buyers say this is that
Huh?
I will eventually, use you, but right now all I'm looking for is to just see the property. Then
Yeah. Then you give them a
give them a guide and say, hey, either you
Yeah.
are representing your own self or you
Well-
have to enter into a BRA.
you can give them the guide, and there's implied representation.
Oh,
Okay.
it's an implied.
You can imply representation, but before an offer is presented,
Yes.
okay, yeah, you either have a SRP provided
Yes.
or a BRA provided.
So when you say implied representation, please give me some more info about that.
So-
When you say implied, what does it? It implies that I'm representing their interest.
Yeah, so once you give them the RICO guide,
Yes.
and they, like the RICO, when RICO sees it as, again, things could change, but RICO sees it as, once you give them the guide, they should have been explained what the guide means.
Okay.
Like what it means to be a SRP, what it means to be a client.
But they're not still signing anything.
Yeah, and RICO, what it says is that we have to do our best in order to give it to them,
To educate them.
to educate them. For the RICO guide, there's no requirement
Right.
that they have to sign anything,
Yes.
but there is a requirement that we have provided to them. And what is the second best thing? To show like a text message that they received it, to show that an email that they received it. That's the second best thing.
So basically, one of the purposes is RICO is trying to cut down on people just getting into properties without representation. Is that what they're trying to negate, or what are they trying to establish?
Well, what they're trying to establish is more clear cut. Like
Transparency.
transparency. Yeah, because a lot of clients, a lot of people go into there not understanding what it means to be self-represented. And again, this is my thoughts, but
What about I'm sorry, I'm
No,
just
no, no.
thinking aloud as
Yeah,
I'm listening to what about an open house? When people-
yeah, so open house, that is the same as if you're a listing agent and then you're showing an SRP,
Yes.
like just opening the door for them.
Yes.
So, and this is a great question because during the open house, you can give them factual information. So you can give them a copy of the listing.
Yes.
Because this is how much is listed for, this is the tax, this
And
is,
usually they do ask, what do you think it's gonna go for?
then you can't tell them. Because all of a sudden you engage JOSSA, right?
Yes,
JOSSA.
yes, because
Yeah,
I've been asked this a million times.
I know.
As a listing agent, you know this better than any, what do you think it's gonna
That's
be?
Yeah.
the number one question.
Yes.
as a
Yeah, that's the
buyer.
number one question.
Just tell me what is it worth.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, I know, like Rico, this is what Rico expects us to be like. Rico expects us to go like, unfortunately, I can't tell you unless you're my
And it's
client.
represented.
Yeah, unless you're represented. But I mean, what you can also negate is be like, hey, I unfortunately, because I'm not representing you, I can't tell you what I think about what the sold prices or what the expectations are. But I can tell you that next door sold for 780.
Factual information.
Factual, yes, factual information.
And how would RICO mandate that all agents are doing this? Because I may be somebody that's following what RICO says, but there's gonna be another agent that's gonna just
Keep
figure
saying
out a
it,
way to
right?
get their client.
Well, they're taking
Exactly.
risks. The buyer can complain to the board.
Yeah, and it's the same for all the I mean, I think a lot of agents do understand when, hey, when, and we do get this that like, oh, we're EXPs like buy the board, right? We follow, but there are agents that they don't really care,
Right.
and other brokerages that all they care about is the bottom dollar.
Right.
And I think that we need to be in a situation where we need to protect ourselves and we need to represent like our own brand. And the reality of this is because RICO wants to establish what it means to be a realtor. And I understood that like TRESA is actually beneficial for us because it shows that, hey, a realtor can actually show what their worth is. It's either 0 or 100, unless you're in a limited representation or limited services, right? So that's the main thing they want to establish. So we could, again, nobody's gonna, like, and I asked this question too. I'm like, what if I'm like, with a bunch of friends and I'm having dinner and they're asking me, oh, what do you think the market is gonna be? I'm not gonna be like, here's a BRA,
You guys sign these.
Yeah, sign these.
And we'll continue our conversation.
Yeah, a RICO regulator isn't gonna show up and be like, no, like, like that. But like, it's, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and that's actually one problem with like House Sigma because House Sigma has a little
AI
tool.
Yes,
Yeah,
this is the expected sales
Oh,
price.
yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
And
So they can't
that's
do that. either?
right now they're giving their opinions now. So that's why like right now like that they're gonna have to revise their whole.
Because I get this, if I'm suggesting a price, House Sigma says, then I said, okay, then deal with that.
Yeah. You say we always blame House Sigma, right? We always just blame
House
them.
Sigma is saying this price.
Yeah.
Nothing has sold in this for years.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why like I mean we're just gonna have to navigate like all those stuff. I mean there's no, again, the RICO regulator isn't gonna pop up, but if in an open house somebody knows like somebody like let's say a RICO regulator, again they have not enough people to do this, shows up to open house and starts like asking you, and all of a sudden here's my RICO, I'm RICO investigating. Yeah, they're not going to do that. But
But it's good to know and
For now.
yeah, like you want to use that, maybe incorporate into your script to how to get a buyer client, because you're like, hey, maybe this house is not for you, but if I represent you, right, I can show you other houses. They might like, again, you can just like move it to, that's what open houses are for, right? Getting clients. I mean, so that's my thoughts on that.
Another question that just popped up, just in case you're prospecting and you nurturing old leads where these rules were non-existent, and you get to start to show them. As soon as you meet them, you actually give them a guide and say, hey, this is you wanna be self-representing or you wanna sign a BRA?
Yeah, but a lot of times, again, you work on your script, whether you want to give that to them before you start showing or during your showing, that's kind of up to you.
Or can we wait like we do traditionally till the offer, depending on the discussion?
With RICO, they say you must provide it to them as soon as you can.
Right.
That's what RICO says, and even on the RICO bulletin, it says you must, and they capitalize must.
You must.
Yeah. So a lot of times you can just show that, hey, I've given it to you, or like some way. Hey, that's nice. That you've given it to them and shown it to them. But yeah, I mean, again, there's going to be those players where they're not going to show it, but they're not going to do it until the very end. And I don't think any of our transaction staff maybe we're still training them up to show that, hey, we just need the RICO guide before, acknowledged and sent before the offer is presented.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's the main thing.
And even with somebody that's inventory sale, for example, where I've not shown nothing,
Yeah.
what happens then?
Oh, inventory sales as in like pre-con or?
Yeah, it's pre-con
Yeah.
technically, but this is supposed to close, this is inventory sale, and it's closing in 30 days, 60 days, then what happens? I'm not showing
Wait.
nothing.
You haven't shown anything. Wait, are you, and you're not?
I'm representing the buyer, obviously not the builder.
Yeah.
And then technically, I don't have a BRA in place, no nothing. Then do I still send them the?
RICO guide? Yes. Yeah, you still have to send them.
Because when you
Yeah.
upload this taxable information.
So whatever
there's
you
a
have to
spot
send
for
the
RICO
RICO
guide
guide.
now.
Yeah, that's the new
So before we
New
do
thing.
anything, we'll have to show the client the
RICO
RICO
guide.
guide.
And it's kind of scary because it's like 13 pages.
I
So,
know, so I just wondering, my client gonna be?
yeah.
I know.
Signing spots, that's
I
the-
know.
Yeah, and keep in mind, and I want to throw it out there, we don't have to sign it. They don't have to initial or sign it, but it's our responsibility to show that there's a proof. So if the buyer comes in and says like, oh, they didn't show me the RICO guide, I haven't explained, you can go to RICO and be like, no, here it is. Like, they've acknowledged.
I just landed with the BRA.
Yeah, yeah.
So what if we are
Yeah.
asking for RICO, like we are sending the RICO guide, and some other agent, no, I will show you the property, you don't have to, you don't
Sign
worry
it?
about the RICO guidelines.
Then again, that would be like, then if you find out that they're doing that, then you can go to RICO.
Find out like who,
I know.
which agent they're
You don't wanna
talking
be
to.
petty
Or,
like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we should have to uphold. That's why there's bad actors out there.
But some
Yeah.
people will use this as leverage to get buyers, because if we say no, because of
Yeah.
RICO guide, you might be like, forget about them, I'll show you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're,
They think they know it, and there are agents. That's why RICO came out with a bulletin. Like you cannot coerce them or counsel them to bypass any of the regulations. That's a big fine now. They increased that. And the scary thing now, again, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but RICO actually has the authority to actually remove your license now. Like before, it has to go up to the tribunal. It has to go up to that, and the tribunal, to be honest, I think only has like 6 people out of like 90 to 100,000 agents. So like how many, and you don't see anybody losing their licenses. But right now they give the power to RICO in order to enforce it for bad actors. So yeah,
Actually, end up in a court.
yeah.
I have to be a witness that RICO sue an agent to suspend, to take away his license.
Yeah. Like, yeah, so go. So there's a whole, I would say it's easier, but it's still not easy to.
When we sell pre-construction, how should we have to also, before that, to show we have to send the
So-
RICO, but also BRA. But I remember with the pre-construction, we don't need to upload the BRA, right? Or we
No, so actually, that's a great question because I do a lot of pre-con, and I actually sent an email to RICO asking that question. If you're not representing the seller, okay, because pre-con you're not, they're not a registrant, and if you're not representing the buyer, how are you supposed to get paid from the builder?
But aren't you representing the buyer?
Well, if it's just a referral, right? You refer and then you get paid that way. So I asked them, and basically what RICO said is as long as you give the disclosure, so you've shown I know nobody does this, but you know the broker co-op form that you get from the builder? You're just gonna have to show that to the buyer and have them initial, and then that's what RICO asks.
get that signed because the.
Yeah, they have to sign it anyways, yeah.
In that form,
Yeah.
if there is a client signature in the referral agreement.
Yeah, in the
it-
641.
Yes, it's there, right?
Yeah, but for a pre-con,
Yes.
none of the builders put,
That in there.
they don't put it like
They don't
sellers.
put it in their agreement, but we
Yeah.
have to get it
On the side,
independently
yeah.
signed
Yeah.
for us to get paid from EXP or any other.
Yeah, yeah. But I've been trying to kind of push that back. But now with TRESA, when I asked Rico, they just said as long as it's disclosed in a written format, so it doesn't even need to be signed. So you can be like in an email, be like, hello, just to let you know, I'll be receiving 2. I know it's, I'll be honest, I'll never done that, okay? But I know with TRESA, I just need to ask because I know that I'm gonna get a lot of questions. Like, well, we're getting this much commission from the deal, so just so you know.
Oh my God, so we have to talk to, we have to exactly talk to the client,
Yeah.
how much commission I got.
No, usually
I know
my
it's-
most recent client did ask me, so you are getting paid? I said yes. They didn't ask me the commission, I didn't tell them, so.
But you have to
Now
tell
you
them,
have to.
now you have to, you heard, you have to
Yeah, you have to
tell them
let them, I know.
exactly how much you get.
Yeah, I actually have the
Because
email
that's gonna be
from
like,
Rico.
oh,
Or they'll blackmail you.
Yeah, that you get a disclosure of
43%,
payment. So
44%, and
yeah, that is very similar to how Rico looks at that is, yeah, how Rico looks at that is how, like, imagine we get a referral from a mortgage broker, okay? That's how Rico classifies a builder.
Are you gonna handle?
Yeah, like a finder's fee.
Net of HST, so I don't.
Yeah, Rico sees it as like a finder's fee.
Can we just put it down as per the builder commission?
Yeah. You can just put as per builder commission, that
so we
much.
don't need to say exactly the numbers.
You can just put 5% or like 4%.
But
Yeah.
you see 4%, the client already know how much.
I know.
I want that 2%.
Yeah, all the time, and I hate that because every time,
Pay that much, like, give me 1%.
yeah,
If it's
Some-
you can write one.
yeah, some people come to you just because they know it's 4%, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
they'll give
That's why they're
you
like, oh, I'll go through you
if you give me
that.
2%. Yeah,
Just write down as per
builder.
commission. You didn't say any.
Yeah, I think that, and you know what some people do? They use CRMs. So it shows on a CRM that they've opened the email.
Always use that.
Oh.
So if they, yeah, they send it. So that's enough. That's a bare minimum for Rico. I'll just say that you've disclosed it and you showed it in a written format.
Pension handler, somebody
Yeah.
asks me commission, I say I don't know, a net of HST.
Yeah. So I know like that always has been the case with Rico, but they see it as a finder's fee. They don't see it as an actual deal they don't see it as a transaction. They see it as a finder's fee, just like a bank mortgage benefit. So like all that representation doesn't apply in a pre-con, unless the pre-con is like Concord where they're represented by Prompton, right? Then you have to get into a BRA. Yeah. Then you have to sign a confirmation of cooperation. Yep. So that's the difference. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of changes.
One more question. So now, if, like, you put the coming soon sign, you only put it max how many days?
So okay, it's 72 hours.
72 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is actually not a TRESA thing. This is a Korea cooperation policy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
I've had that issue where somebody is put in a coming, but I was just prospecting. I had nothing to do with it, and they said, I'm gonna complain because I see this coming soon sign for 2 weeks, but I don't know, it's still coming soon.
It's still
yeah.
coming soon.
So
What's soon mean, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Soon could
Somebody
be like
once
next
said
year.
that
Coming soon is
those
72
coming soon,
72
as long as the
72 hours, you have to
realtor
put
sign
sales
and the
tax.
MLS sign is
There are
not on it,
some nosy neighbors
We're
that
allowed
are
to do
looking,
that?
you know.
so now with the Korea cooperation policy, you're not allowed. But before,
back in the days was yes.
yeah, back in the days, yes, you can be as long as there is a listing agreement actually signed
Yes.
for like 6 months down the road. You can leave it up for 6 months, but it depends on which board. This is for Toronto Real Estate Board. In like London St. Thomas, like Elstar, they actually say it's only maximum for I think 10 days. You can have the coming soon sign to MLS, and it has to say coming soon to MLS. Like
Here, agents and broker of records also, the listings expired, there's still a sign at the
yeah,
property.
yeah.
She's a broker of record for what it's worth.
Yeah, that I mean, again, I spoke to so many broker records. They don't know. Yeah, technically, you can only have this is before the cooperation policy. You can only have the sign, and even now, you can only have the sign for as long as the listing agreement is active. So let's say you have a 2 months listing agreement, and you sold it within the first week. technically, unless the seller complains, you can leave the sign up there saying sold up until for the full 2 months, and then you can remove it. But if it expired, then no, you have to take it out.
Oh, you
Call
mean
Rico
before
for
12?
Penny.
Yeah, yeah. The duration of the listing agreement.
I see.
So even if it's sold in the first week, you still have like a month and whatever 4 weeks left on the agreement. You can put the sign up there, sold for until the expiry of the listing.
Ah, I didn't know.
Yeah. So that's technically the.
Only when the sellers want you to remove it.
Oh well, yeah. If the seller wants you to remove, I don't want the sign in my. Then yeah, you should. But
Yes.
technically, you
My
can.
seller said, oh, keep it there, maybe it will bring you business. I said, good.
Yeah, exactly. So you can extend the listing agreement. Even if it's sold.
After, you just mentioned that after it's sold, a certain amount of time you have to remove the sign, right?
Yeah.
30 days?
No, not 30 days. As long as the listing agreement.
Now?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
So
always been.
So I think
yeah,
that
it's always been.
it didn't change.
No, that didn't change. That didn't
I
change.
thought that after the listing is sold, within 30 days you have to remove the sign, normally.
Depends on the city, I think.
Yeah. So number one, of course, the city has its own bylaws, but those are for the open houses signs if you're in public area. But if it's on the seller's property, then technically, it should be, the longest time should be until the end of the listing agreement. Like, even if you sold it before the listing expired. So if your listing is, you have a 6 months listing, you can keep the sold sign up there. But again, always just be cautious about it. Like maybe the seller's like, I don't want the sign anymore. I've gotten so many calls from sellers to the broker saying, hey, this sign hasn't been removed yet. It's been sold for 2 weeks. It's been sold on the weekend and I want to remove it. So yeah, we would always want to listen to the seller's, seller's direction, I would say. Okay. So that's-
What about the disclosure about the price?
Okay.
Yes, disclosure about price as a
Yeah.
listing agent or a buyer side, how would you do?
So if you're having a multiple offer situation with TRESA now, you can actually disclose the price, so contents of the written agreements. So that's actually the Form 209, and there's certain things that the seller has to be fair to everybody, okay, in the Form 209. So you can't just exclude it, be like, oh, I want John Smith to be divulged of the prices, but I don't want Jane Doe to be, I want to withhold the information from Jane Doe. I only want to, you can't do that. So when they show it, and on the Form 209, on the Form 209, you'll actually show that it has to be, substantive covenant with each and every person who's making the offer. So it's written in capital letters. So you can't just do it with one.
Oh, it's a price, deposit,
This is a choice that the seller can consider, right?
Yeah,
They don't have to do this.
they don't have to do this.
Over the weekend, I showed the property before,
Mm-hmm.
and they were viewing offers on Saturday, and I received email, I didn't put in an offer, I still received email. Okay, right now, 13 offer, okay, this is the price, no conditions, whatever, like, they disclosed to everybody who showed it.
Wow.
What is the benefit of?
Everyone that showed it,
Well, I showed it, I didn't put in an offer, I still
and they
received the
didn't
email.
close it?
Mistake.
No,
Yeah, I think it's
it still might be a benefit
I think
because
it's on brokers pay.
if you tell your buyer, hey, they have offered, the highest one's only 350, your buyer might be like, oh, if
Yeah.
it's 350, maybe I can,
I don't
I can
know.
do 400, I'm okay
Yeah,
with that.
the seller can always prepare this and let them know, like in the seller's direction. The seller is allowed to let them, like in a seller's direction, I allow the listing agent to let them know their expected price. But because you're not technically allowed to say that.
You can let them know that what expected.
Yeah, but this is based off of the seller's direction. But in this is a 209, which is for competing offers. So you can only disclose these, okay, price, deposit conditions, closing date, or any other things, but it has to be fair
So everybody.
to everybody.
Even, let's say if you have someone offer 1.5, which is the highest, and you're gonna tell everyone, even the one that offered you that,
Yeah.
that's the highest.
So even
Anybody
people
who's-
that didn't make an offer, can I let?
Oh,
them know?
no. To each and every who's making one of the offers.
Oh, okay.
So only if they have submitted an actual offer, then they can, let them know. Okay, and only if this is signed. Okay, only if they choose to.
You can sign up
Yeah,
right at the time.
Yeah. exactly. But in the middle of an offer, they can all of a sudden decide.
Change it, right?
to change it, yeah.
What if the seller says, I want to disclose all the buyers' names to everyone?
Oh, no, then that's no.
private.
So that's Pipita. Yeah. So that's,
Be assholes. Like,
yeah,
I
so-
want everyone to know who's.
so right here in the very lower, I know it's blocked. Oh. Oops. I know it's blocked, but if the seller acknowledges that you cannot divulge. Yeah. Yeah. Must not, the shared information might not include any personal information.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, none of the personal information. So only the substance of the offers. Okay, so they can be like, there is a like, does it say closing date? Or maybe like title search date. I don't know if anybody cares about title search date, but it could be anything.
Title search,
Yeah.
no difference.
Or maybe channels included. Or
Yeah,
whatever, right?
yeah.
Fixtures excluded.
Yeah, fixtures excluded, or yeah, all those stuff, because maybe there's a pool and they don't want a pool, or
Dickson, what about the top 3 or top 5 offer goes to the second round thing? Is this still allowed or not?
yeah, if they said this, then only the people who have submitted the offer. So if let's say if they decide this, then you have to let everybody know.
Do we have to write it down though?
Yeah, this is what
Some,
I,
some
you have to write
it.
agents playing the trick about, only the top 3 or top 5 offers goes to the second round. Let's say there's 20 offers.
That's a seller's direction then.
Is this still allowed?
Yeah, that's a seller's direction then.
That's another form.
The seller, has the right to conduct the offer presentation how they want it. There's actually a new form, the new form 224, that actually describes to them what the seller's direction means. I want to see.
yeah, see, update. They give you an update, so.
Oh, 12 voucher offer.
So they
Oh.
show you 12 offers, it's going up 1.4 million,
Yeah,
and
the price is going over 1.4.
So can we do that?
no condition.
That's only if the seller's direction.
This is very transparent.
But that
Yeah,
seller's
the-
direction is only to people who made an offer. What if I want
Yeah.
to do that and let everyone that showed the property know?
Then the seller's direction.
Oh, seller.
So the 244, but the 209 is only for people who put in the offer.
Okay.
Only to, so this one, the seller, so this is actually explains to them, like I know it's a lot, but it shows them what preparing a 244 is. Because a lot of people entered in a 244 not knowing what a 244 is, like the seller's direction. So if you actually read, the seller explained the understanding of potential, giving the broker's direction, such as delayed offer, conveyance, like it just shows to protect yourself. So
224, 244.
so there's
24 this
this 224
explains the 244.
that explains the 244. This is not mandatory.
Does it have one form?
Yeah, this is not mandatory, but
Oh.
the thing is, when you prepare a 244, ideally to protect yourself, you should give them this. Again, I don't like to throw more paperwork. This is not mandatory, but if you have an offer presentation, you do need a 244.
Dickson,
Okay.
can you just give us all the forms that are required as a listing agent?
Actually, we're creating a list, and we're actually.
If you can give us just briefly.
I'll show you something we're creating, and I don't want to share.
Yeah,
Just
please
give us the-
wait and
Because
send us.
there's too many forms.
Yeah,
244.
244. I'll show you something where.
Sell it direction, yeah, okay.
Can I send it to you so you can put it up here? Or actually, let me do the
You sent it to Andy, right? Is Andy?
or wait, I'll just type up the link here.
I put in the 224, and then
Oh wait, let me.
Oh, okay.
so they come back and say, okay, we need a 244, not a 2.
I know. So I'll
Yeah, I mean, initially when I was a brand new agent, I made this and but now we don't need, because as soon as we enter this, it's gonna say what is needed.
Yeah, that's why I go to cancel and I see what's red, I just give them the.
okay. Let's see if this. Okay, this is not yet released yet. Okay, this is not yet released for anybody. It's still on testing, but we're gonna be creating this transaction checklist. So it's gonna show like transaction, like if you're listing, is it residential, lease, or assignment? You click residential, and then yeah, I don't know how to scroll. Is this upside down? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's Apple.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Yeah. So it shows all this. So do you have a delayed offer presentation date? So if you have a delayed offer presentation date, then it'll show like what the forms you need. Yeah.
That's really good.
So if you are a purchase,
Yeah, true.
right?
When will we have this?
Yeah, so we're gonna release it soon, but we're still working on it.
That's good.
Okay, so it's not yet really, we're in the coming month or so.
But we have it.
Now you have, yeah. But it's gonna change a little bit, right? So it's gonna show, like, are you relatives or are you, like, so it's gonna show, like, what you need and what the forms you need.
Yes, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, lease, even if a letter of opinion. So if you're just giving a letter of opinion, so RICO information guide, working with a realtor, limited service agreement. So we actually need that.
Oh, I didn't know you need all this stuff too.
But this is new with TRESA. So coming soon, we'll populate based on selection. Okay, so.
You say relative. How far do you go as a relative?
Oh, so usually arm's length. Arm's
Cousin is
length.
relative, right?
Yeah, you could say. Err on the side of caution. If you think it's gonna impact, then
Might as well do it.
might as well do
Yeah,
it.
protect yourself.
Yeah, protect yourself. So this is. So we're creating this, but we have a lot more that we're gonna film. Like, if you need anything with our signatures, like we're gonna show the guides, and so it's a lot easier.
Yeah. That's
And this will be.
info, information guide.
Yeah, we're gonna put the links and everything. But anyways, like this is the thing I wanna show everybody. Okay, so like representation type, landlord's SRP. So we're gonna put that all together.
Yeah, I think we,
That's good.
if you have the tablet and we can just use it.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Woohoo!
Yeah.
72 hours anyway.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what?
It's working right now.
It's you.
Yeah, you can start using it.
We will have it very soon.
That's very
Okay,
nice.
but I won't remove the link. So, but just keep in mind it's still being worked on. Okay. It's
What
right
is
there.
that app?
Exactly.
Dot app.
All the forms that you require from buyer side, listing side,
No, but
complete
it's gonna
construction.
be on an app because it's .app.
Yeah, but this is actually optimized to use on your phone.
Okay.
So it's not optimized to use on on the web, but you can still use it on the web.
Management will be sending out very soon, right?
Yeah. Within a month, we're still testing it. We're still gonna. It's actually being reviewed by the national team because we want to do this for every province. But this is just keeping in mind. So yeah, it's like so the 325, and we're gonna make it so it's easier. But this is the thing that I really like the most.
Yes.
Okay, like
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I was trying to create this.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, now you know.
No, I'm serious. I was trying to create this.
So, but we're
Forms and stuff because there's too many forms going on right now.
yeah. There's so
Buyers forms.
yeah representation. Yeah, for lease, for sale, for like
Too much.
But this is the app. Can we just make it as a template and then just straight onto SkySlope or what?
no, not yet. Like I don't think we'll be able to.
Oh, one click, come on. These days.
I know we have to work with.
Why don't you create one and sell it to the next
Programmer. I'll give you the idea. So.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes, we're good.
yeah, so this is
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, if we have a listing signed, we can't advertise it on like Facebook or whatever?
no exclusive.
Or exclusive listing?
Only if exclusive.
Assignments, can we do it?
So that's a question I've been asking Oria.
Because how
They-
else would we sign a seller?
Yeah, they
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Because on the actual guide, it says that this does not apply to buildings that have not yet been registered or titled. So I asked them, does that mean pre-construction? Because pre-construction has not been assigned yet.
Yeah.
There's no title, so they haven't gone back to me. But I'll just say, if it's an assignment, do it. Like because some of the builders they don't let you put on MLS.
What about rentals?
If it's
Can we?
yeah, well,
Let's say
again, if it's not.
Those ones for the exclusive listings, you're talking about cooperative?
Yeah, cooperative. Yeah.
So it exclude commercial, commercial rent,
Yeah.
Okay, right.
along with assignment sale as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
but they said it's the not registered ones. Like so, but I think it's assignment.
Yeah, assignment
But
sale, yes.
but
Commercial property is registered.
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, commercial.
They
They exclude commercial. Any.
Commercial and
Rentals.
rentals
Yeah.
and assignment sale.
Yeah, but the thing is,
We can put that out.
yeah, the Korea. Yeah,
I can pull that out.
yeah. So the website might change or like this is like the A/B testing thing. Curator, Korea cooperation policy. Do Korea. Korea. So CREA.
So I put down that you said this is okay, right? I just sent as per Dickson Wong is okay, this one.
Please contact. Yeah, you can just say that they've been informed. Yeah. Let's put, yeah. Click that. Click that one, and then there should be a link.
I think there's another one. I saw that.
Question, Dickson.
Mm-hmm.
So with my listing, I usually get a lot of like realtor.ca leads. And back in the days, I usually just give it to some other people, right?
Mm-hmm. So if you give it to another agent, then you don't have to give the RICO guide. They give the RICO guide and everything.
So it's my listing. I sent the realtor.ca lead to Sunny.
Mm-hmm.
Sunny can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but Sunny just has to follow the RICO guide and everything, and signing with the BRA.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what if I give it to a non-EXP agent?
Yeah, same thing. So you can just
do whatever. But
yeah.
for me as a listing agent, I don't need to do anything extra that I was not doing before.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
You
same.
don't need to have the permission from the seller?
No. Because it's your own lead. They haven't become a client yet or anything. It's just like sharing the lead to somebody else. Yeah.
So
that doesn't change.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The exclusive listing, so exempt from commercial property, new construction.
Yeah.
And-
Rental property listing.
So it doesn't say assignments. That's the thing. We took this and asked them. So one thing that I would say is that if it's a pre-con assignment, then yeah, this shouldn't apply. But if it's a resale assignment, so if you're like, you have a 6 months APS with a seller and then with a buyer, and the buyer wants to assign it to somebody, then the RICO cooperation policy might apply.
So for the,
If it's a resale assignment, like 係現成嘅.
okay.
If it's pre-con,
Pre-construction is different, okay,
Yeah.
I see.
In the original APS that allows the assignment for the resale?
actually no. And on APS, actually, because it says on the regular APS, it always shows heirs, successors, and assigners. So it's the right for the buyer to assign their benefit to somebody else.
So even if it's a 60-day or a 90-day closing, that is allowed
It's-
without a special clause in it?
Correct. That's actually allowed, but the seller can make it difficult, right? The seller can be like, I'm not going to show it to another person.
Down market, they allow you.
Yeah, if it's a down market, they just want to close it, right? Yeah, and
But the thing is that the assignment, if it's a higher price than what they purchased it for, does not benefit the seller.
Yeah, it doesn't.
benefits the assigner.
yeah, but the seller doesn't have to know the substance of the assignment. Yeah, they don't have to know about that. So technically you're allowed, but the seller can just make it difficult by just saying, oh, I don't want to show, I'm not going to sign the amendment to transfer. But if you don't sign an amendment,
Sellers, you have to sign the amendment to transfer, right?
well, yeah,
So it's kind of, you need their permission.
but you can always do it on final closing to tell the lawyer to direct it to the new buyer.
Correct.
Yeah, to the secondary buyer.
The seller has to cooperate if they don't want to not close on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or else the buyer, it's like a domino effect. So that,
They might get mad that how
No,
come
but
the
if they know you made
assignment-
$100,000 on the assignment, they'll be like, no, I'll rather sell it back over at $100,000.
Yeah.
They'll make it hard.
Yeah, they will make it hard.
they will want to make it hard, yeah. So that's why it's sellers only if the sellers don't allow it to. Be like the buyer cannot assign it to another person, right? If they do, they can be like, oh, then the seller can get a fee or
So we
something
should
like that.
start adding that clause in now.
Yeah, you can think about that. Yeah, like the buyer allowed to assign, the seller can get this much, like a percentage of the proceeds. You know, then they can always work that in. So, yeah. I know we covered a lot of topics, not even entirely TRESA, but I think TRESA, there's not much big changes. It's just I think we have to all revise our scripts. We have to revise how we talk to our clients. And mainly it's just knowing that there's no in-between. There's only client or there's self-represented party. And this new 209, I don't think much people are going to adopt this revealing of like the other information or anything like that. But it's actually pretty straightforward. It's just a Form 209. Let them know what it is. They can change at any time. And also, like with the seller limited service, how do we work with that, like for sale by owners or mere postings? How are we gonna like adopt all that? But it's all really pretty straightforward. It's covered by the BRA now, sorry, the confirmation of cooperation. And just now we have to give them the RICO guide, and we just have to navigate. Oh, do you want to be an SRP, or do you want to be a client? Or, listing, even a listing agent, you have to, as a listing agent, you have to give a RICO guide to the seller. Okay, so that's the main thing. Then there's the website from RICO that can show, like, does everybody already know that RICO actually has that website? You can send them the email, and it'll actually show that the buyers received it.
That's what I show you, right?
Rico info.
The RICO info guide?
That's what I show you after
Yeah.
they acknowledge.
That they acknowledge?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They just showed that they acknowledge. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's what's provided by RICO, yeah.
I have a question. So that RICO guide, only they have that name called, the buyer had to sign, and no tenant. So, for example, if I have a listing for only for lease, and my client is always asking me question about the, they
Yeah,
said,
the
"Why
market."
this is so
Okay, there's three of
buyer?
them,
It's
Yeah.
not tenant, it's so,
Oh,
they're kind of scared. I'm kind of, just selling her house
Yeah.
instead of lease,
Ah.
So this is because especially my client, they're from China, Chinese. Sometimes
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't really understand
Yeah.
the meaning. And I went to her, I said, don't worry, but she still feel, because the words you see, this is a buyer,
Yeah,
has
yeah.
to sign.
You mean the
But I'm not a
The A10.
the seller.
Yeah.
Seller has to sign. I'm not seller, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just, try to lease.
Lease. And there's this Form 200 for sale.
I think she's
I'm
referring.
asking a RICO guide.
Oh, the RICO guide. So in the RICO guide, that actually shows
Also,
that,
they're working with a realtor.
Yeah.
They don't have that tenant.
Yeah.
They don't have the name of the.
it actually shows, so
landlord and tenant.
if you, excuse me,
Working with?
if you send it,
Oh,
There's
okay,
one
that's
for
good.
landlord tenant and one is for
Oh,
seller
that's
buyer.
why.
Yeah, there's
I
the
said
two.
that one with, only for the.
Yeah.
Which one? Where can you
No,
choose?
it's a new form
So-
now.
New?
Before the- yeah.
Oh, that's
So you
good.
can,
Okay, that's good.
but for this one, it
Last
also,
one.
It came up.
for this one, there's also a preface. It also prefaces seller also means tenant, seller also means landlord, and tenant also means buyer. It actually shows on the form,
Which one is that?
the RICO guide,
Yeah,
on the
but
RICO
new
guide.
form is gonna be much easier.
The left one, right?
Yeah. So if you
Oh.
show, so I don't know where, like I think you're just gonna have to find that so maybe just click share, click
Share,
share.
you have to fill out like.
Oh, yeah, problem. Yeah, I think you just have to. To you.
Where
Yeah.
can I download this form?
You can get it from, oh, sorry?
You can download it on the Oreo.
No, I
Yeah.
have that, I don't have the second one, I mean the new one with the tenant and,
Should be there too, no? Should all be there.
No, it also shows like, yeah, just a PDF.
oh, they have PDF, that's good.
Yeah, so the PDF. So there is a place that shows that, so this is the 13 page. So I just need to find it. See, you, the client can also mean, buyer and seller can mean lessee and lesser respectively.
Oh, okay.
So you just have to explain it to that. Yeah.
Okay.
So it means that both. So if it says buyer and seller, it could also mean lessee and lesser or
So,
landlord.
okay, because just at the end, when you sign, they said this,
Yep.
let me see that at the end.
Okay. So this is the one that you just have to give it to them. I know it's 13 pages. I hope everybody reads it through at least once, just to know.
I don't think anyone, who's read it, except for him.
Am I the only one who read it?
Except for
I think I
him,
got
who else?
through it once.
Yeah, once, right?
You read it?
But then you have to explain to the client, right? It said they acknowledge you explained it.
Yeah, we should.
I agree, that's good.
It's like a reading school.
My challenge to you is how do you explain to your client?
I'll be honest. I haven't worked with a client since since TRESA, because after December I was away for all of December, so I've been technically just back here for 2 weeks.
So anyone has explained this to the client?
Yeah.
No.
You try to explain it? Yeah.
What do you explain to them about?
So I worked with two buyer clients, and I thought RICO guide explaining and getting it signed was mandatory. So I sat with them and went
like
Yeah.
12 pages.
Yeah, it's
Because what I did is I
Not
got
a
this,
good agent.
I sent it to them with the BRA and they had never seen the BRA before either.
Noah,
So I explained this to them and this to them.
Noah, you don't mind to repeat it to us, right?
For sure, I can.
Next week, next Friday.
yeah. I
Buy
think
her
that
stuff.
works.
Just buy her stuff.
I'll make a video for you guys. No problem.
You know
Oh, yeah,
how,
that-
how I did it, I did it 4 times already. How I did it is,
Yeah, because my clients were so nervous. They
You did
were
4
like,
times?
"Do you can do
Explaining it?
anything?"
Yeah, my
you
client was, because
They
but
were
my
nervous
explanation is
because
like
they thought that
2 phrases.
they thought that this means that now
Two
if
sentences.
you
It's just
hire me
bullshit.
as a
Sorry.
No,
finance
it is,
agent, they
I
have
said
to
this is a new
pay.
thing.
And I was
Yeah.
like, no,
They're gonna
yeah.
explain about
It's
representation,
legal.
not representation, right?
It should
Yeah.
be
Just read the part and say, I represent you and you're my client, that's it.
representing you, you're not paying me.
Yeah,
That
it's
was their confusion.
it's. I know it's a lot, but right now that's what.
Hey, we make money too, right, so don't complain.
Yeah, it just makes us agents a more compelling argument. Like, justifies our value, I guess. Like if all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm not going to tell you what I think
Also,
the
we
price
only
is.
do this once. Oh, do we have to do another one for the sellers? Because I have a client bought already, and we're gonna list tomorrow or next week.
If you've already showed that you've given it to them, that's
So will this do both selling and buying?
yeah, it's the exact same.
It's the
Exact
same,
same. Yeah, like there's no
So
as for
it's like the 810 is the same, so.
yeah, like technically like the 810 we're actually supposed to. Like why we need an initial, like why everybody, because back in the day in Reba, like we're supposed to explain to them,
Yeah.
like 810, but instead of,
1 page, not 13.
yeah, not 13,
12.
exactly, so,
Well, only 12, the last one is only signature.
yeah, signature, that's right.
And the first page is only cover page, there's only.
So it's like
It
technically,
has just one small added section now.
yeah, one small added section about the RICO guide or SRP, so that's the main thing. I'm glad you're on top of it. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's really on top of it. It's just navigating, like
You
how,
have to do more and make more mistakes, that's all.
yeah, like everything is new. I think we're navigating it too. If there's any questions, like I got wrong here today, like of course I know, but like,
We don't expect you to be wrong, come on.
okay, thank you. Because we actually been almost every week, every Tuesday. Like that's why I was running a bit late today.
Kind of on a committee kind of thing.
Yeah, like all our broker team. Yeah, we have a meeting every Tuesday, and we have a bunch of questions that we give to Catherine, like our broker record. We send it over to Aurea. They take a month to reply, but then we get it. Yeah, they take so long. They took that question literally. That question about the question about the referral for the pre-con. I'd sent it to them last year. They only got back to me this,
Oh, it took a year.
I think, last
Last year was
Thursday.
last month.
Yeah. Like before, as soon as it came back.
From 23 to 24.
It took them 3 weeks to get back to me, so. And I sent a follow-up question. Haven't got back.
Is that some agents, some sellers that are very like desperate to sell their properties right now are paying higher commissions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
So
cooperating
some
2.75
agents,
now.
what they're doing is, because when you look at on Realm or Stratus, only broker full shows you that extra commission.
Yeah.
Now, some agents have decided to put on the Realtor.ca pictures 4% co-op. So my buyer
Oh,
clients
yeah,
are like,
because they want you to know.
yeah, my buyer client's like, this one condo that you shared with us, what does 4% co-op mean?
Oh, nothing to do with you.
It means you
like
should
this,
buy
I'm
it,
gonna
yeah.
double
The commission, yeah.
It means you should buy it
Means you should.
right now.
Another,
No.
request that someone
This is
should be
secret notes that
mandated
they're
is
on
for
fire,
broker
so.
way, all agents should update their cell phone.
Oh yeah, of course. That was.
Every few months on trap.
On broker way, their
Yeah, it
cell phone
doesn't-
numbers are not there.
Yeah.
When the email, when the confirmation comes, then there is their phone number, the cell phone number is there. It's so
Yeah.
challenging when you sometimes work
Oh,
with
yeah.
buyers and you wanna contact the agent.
That's something I wish we could change more, but I wish.
I think you should.
Speaking of transparency,
I know.
they should make that a thing. right?
Yeah, you should. Oh, it's your business.
Because you know what? Yeah,
Give you the number, it's not
that
the
means you
number.
can't reach Andy. Good luck reaching Andy if you're on the buyer side.
Well,
Yeah.
I
I get calls.
very exclusive access.
You have like the red phone in your
Yeah,
desk.
you need
Only Andy.
exactly like this is your business. Like your phone is your business.
Blasted everywhere.
Yeah,
So you can use.
it's so
use that one
important.
against
Like,
the-
trust me, I get my.
He's on, he's
I would-
right there, I have direct access.
Does he have too many listings?
Andy, I
No.
hope,
I hope you never bring the buyer for your listing.
No, but you have his
Answer
number.
my phone call. No, Andy always answers, but imagine.
But
I
he-
know. I can't imagine. It's
You're
I
talking
was,
to-
I was
you're talking to his
prospecting and a
VA.
client got
Yeah.
so upset,
Yeah.
he didn't want to show his own listing.
I was giving it.
The Woodbridge
No,
lady,
he,
remember
he,
the
he
condo?
want the client to bring an agent so he can
He had
recruit
a-
them here.
Hey, that makes sense too.
Any other questions we have for Dickson?
Yeah. All good. Well, I mean, everybody knows my number, right?
No,
You're so
actually,
embarrassed.
What?
I don't have your number.
You don't have my number?
Is it a personal one or?
I usually respond to my work one.
I don't have you on my.
Yeah, workplace.
What is your workplace number?
Oh, you can at workplace. You can just go to workplace and find my name.
Wong. Cell phone, right?
Yeah, 2670925.
267?
0925.
No, area code.
Oh, 647.
647?
Yep. 265. Why did I keep forgetting my number? 6700295.
6700295.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you log in my account?
It's alright, I don't know.
It's already logged in.
I'm testing it. I'm calling you right now.
Lục sách lệnh gì công?
Yeah, hold on.
Does it work?
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I'm getting a call. Hello? Okay, there you go. I didn't pick up.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, there's the number. Email and
Thank you, Dickson. Thank you for
You're-
coming by.
Oh, wow. Thank you. You're very welcome.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
I know.
Put Markham Ontario for you? Or is that, what is it?
What did I put? Oh, managing broker. Dickson Wang.
Dixon Wang. There's another Dixon?
Yeah, I don't know. There's
The
only.
O and A wrong.
Yeah, lunch.
He got Dixon Wang.
Yeah.
No, I think there's another Dixon because I had lunch with him.
No, it's the same. This is my
Same?
page.
Oh.
My page. I just typo.
October 12th. Okay,
Yeah.
October 12th.
You put up Wang.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, many.
All right.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Feel free to communicate and talk to me.
Yes, if we have more, take this off.
Oh,
If we have more questions on this later on, we'll have questions for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.